And another event that I felt like it kind of solidified my view on visualization and manifestation as something that's really important is that this year I finally break out of my comfort zone and did a marathon. Not only one marathon, I did two marathons. One was like a vertical marathon, 118 floors, 2,800-ish steps, and it's the world's second tallest building, Merdeka 118. And the next one was doing a half marathon. And I would say, if you told me 1 year ago that I will be doing any of these challenges, I would say that you're absolutely crazy. Welcome to my very first podcast of the year. Yeah, this probably will come out in like 2026. And the main goal of this podcast will be to talk about life stuff, like life lessons, maybe some motivational quotes, or like basically stuff that will help you strive in life, succeed in life. Because I believe this is one part where, as a younger, maybe in my early 20s, I would really love to have this kind of content. So I thought, might as well, I'll do it for my younger self. So if you're someone that is in your uh, early 20s or even in your teens, like maybe you're in high school, but you always felt like you had that urge to want to succeed in life and you want to be a step ahead of others, then welcome. This is your podcast. But if you're like someone that is, mm, I wouldn't say older audiences can't listen to me, but if you're someone that has that mindset of you don't want to listen to anyone that's younger than you, or like, yeah, like you feel like you have your own certain ways to do things and you don't really have a growth mindset, then yes, click off this podcast. This is not for you, right? So, uh, so for this podcast, the first podcast, I would say I'm kind of winging it because yeah, like you always, like what people always say, like you just got to start. So by planning how much, like by trying to meticulously plan each step of how the podcast would be, I feel like I would never start. So my goal, at least for 2026, is to at least put out 21 podcasts and above. Yeah, because this is what people say, that the percentage of people that usually don't end up doing is 21 podcasts. They usually give up before the 21st podcast. So this would be my goal. Yeah, so I have big plans for this podcast. I want to, in the future, be able to bring maybe guests, if possible. Yeah, guests that have different perspective in life. It doesn't need to be fixed towards one niche. I feel like as long as the guest has their interesting values, perspectives, wisdom, I would like to bring them in and to be able to educate everyone if possible. Or maybe just listen as like a different perspective, right? So, without further ado, without further rambling, let's get into the podcast topic. For today, I initially had like a more longer set list of like 25 lessons that I've learned as a 25-year-old. But then I felt as a long form as a long form content, making 25 life lessons in this kind of podcast format, I felt it's a bit hard for me now. So I felt to change it up a bit. And today's topic, as what I'm going to write in the in the title, is going to be about one biggest life lesson that I've learned in 2025. Right. So this this thing that I've learned, I feel like if you told me the year before, or even like my previous years, I wouldn't really thought of it as something that is possible. Maybe it's the cliche saying of like 1 year older, 1 year wiser. But yeah, this year specifically, I felt the power and how much of a change it can bring when you're able to visualize and manifest whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's your goals, it doesn't matter if you just want to learn a skill. If you're able to visualize and manifest it, as cliche as it sounds, it actually works. And like looking back at it, I would say that, yeah, in terms of visualization, I feel like the first ever moment that I've noticed that I was able to visualize it and really make it happen was during when I started driving. So I believe most of you uh, all have a driving license, but during that time when you're learning to drive, it's always like a bit of a difficult uphill curve because it's like you might not have really been exposed to driving before. So at least this is what I noticed from my sister. Like she kind of struggled, I would say really struggled for learning how to drive as a skill. But for me, I noticed, not to brag, but I really, but I easily picked up driving as a skill. And then I didn't really notice back then why that was the reason. But looking back, I noticed like ever since young, I've always been obsessed with cars, driving games, like most young teenage boys. And one of them in particular, in terms of the games, were parking games. And that's the thing, because sometimes like racing games is a bit unrealistic. So maybe I couldn't really like, really race in like real traffic in real highways. That is a bit dangerous. But like in terms of parking, I noticed because I really genuinely love to play parking games, and I've been playing like all these simulations and stuff. The moment I tried the real thing, it wasn't that hard until I just made it work. Like it felt natural to me. And I felt like that was one of the times that I noticed that visualization really works. Like how I was playing the game, how was I visualizing that I was driving a real car. When it came to the real deal, it really felt quite easy. And that's why I noticed that the importance of being able to simulate a winning environment, or like simulate or like visualize how is it like to win something. It's really crucial in any aspect of life. Yeah. And another thing about manifesting, I would say, in terms of manifestation, I'm still trying to uh, slowly get there. Yeah, because manifesting, I would say it kind of needs time, because it's kind of like, for me, I would say it's a very imaginative thing, because compared to visualization, maybe it's visualization you have something to, like the visuals to stimulate you, to make you feel like you are there. But for manifesting, you really need your imagination, and it's not an easy thing to do, as some people might tell you that it's easy. Nah, actually, maybe not many people will say it's easy, but if you're able to manifest it, act, it really brings power to whatever you do. I would say, once, just a small incident, just to share. For this year, I've did a talk about, because I'm doing ads for an ad agency, and we have this one talk that we were going to a uni to talk about, like what kind of content, what kind of ads work in this current social media space. And I would say I was never really the one that wanted that is good at speaking. Like I was never the one that is fluent in making presentations, in speaking. And one thing that I really hated was to memorize a script. Like that's something that I struggle, which is why I feel like maybe I wasn't as good as a speaker, because maybe sometimes I will fumble on my words. I would forget some content, which I feel like this podcast is really good to train my speaking skills as well. So yeah, that's also one of the reasons why I did it. But I would say, because the company assigned me to become this speaker, and at first I was super duper nervous. Like I was really nervous, thinking about how many people it would be there, like how many people would be there, and what content that I was worried that if the content that I say is even clear enough, would they understand what I'm speaking? Would I miss out content? Would there be Q&A sessions that I don't know how to answer? And that would be really humiliating for me. But then, but then I feel like at some point I forgot it was my senior or someone that told me like you need to hype yourself up. You need to really manifest and think that you are a person that is capable of saying these stuff. Like, don't think of yourself as an imposter. Don't think that you're a fraud in any sense. Just try to think that yes, you're here to share this knowledge and as a speaker, and these are like knowledge that really is coming out from a agency, so there's nothing to be afraid of. This is just a sharing session. Don't think of it like it's I'm teaching you and you must listen kind of way. And just by taking that advice, I felt it really helped me in terms of presenting the speech. And also another thing that I tried out because okay, TMI. I before that in high school, I used to do like a bit of performing arts. So basically, I was like I would need to be on stage, and I feel like at one point I forgot who told me, but they said like you need to embrace yourself as the identity of a performer. So by manifesting that you are that identity, even though you might not feel at the time, try to strip away whoever you are now, like the nervousness, the the anxiety, all of that uh, things that make you doubt yourself going into the identity. You need to strip yourself away and really think that you're a performer. Then only you can truly perform to like then only you can truly perform to the expectations. So I try to put that in to being a speaker. I think of it as like performing in a sense. And I still remember clearly, uh, just right before the talk was happening, like about half an hour before it started, my girlfriend just texted me and asked, "Are you nervous?" It was just a small gesture of asking like, "How am I feeling?" and all this kind of stuff. And at that moment, I thought of trying an experiment, even though I felt quite nervous. I just texted her and said like, "No, I'm very excited." Like I convinced myself, I manifested that I am a speaker and that uh, I am that I'm not nervous at all and I'm prepared for this thing. And I made I switched the nervous energy into feeling excited. And I feel like this is something that Leila Hormozi said before in one of her content, where she said like when she feels nervous, she would just switch that mindset to thinking of, oh, the nervous feeling that I'm feeling, that's actually excitement. That is not nervous energy. And the moment I switched it and the moment I told other people, like even when my senior came over to back up, he asked me, "Are you nervous?" I said, "No, I'm excited. I am ready to talk about this. I'm so looking forward to it." I was saying it out, but in my mind, I was like, I actually by saying it out, I feel like in my mind I didn't feel that nervous. But of course there was that nervous energy there. But I kept on brainwashing myself. I manifested and thought to myself that yes, mm, I'm doing well. I'm excited and I manifested like having a successful talk after the whole thing. And who knows? And it turns out everything went great. And turns out everything went great. And I felt like that was one pivotal moment that I noticed, even though it might be a small event, that there weren't much people. There were like 20 to 30-ish people. But even during the whole presentation, even during the Q&A session, I felt like it was quite smooth. And even I didn't even know that I could, uh, I wouldn't say come up with these answers, but I felt like the way that I answered them was quite confident. And hopefully it's clear to them. I mean, I wouldn't know 100% how they really feel about the talk, but I feel like in my part, as somewhat of a first time speaker, it is quite good. yeah, so I felt like this was one of a very interesting lesson that I've learned. And I felt like I really want to bring that into 2026 and continue to use it as my superpower. After that, I started to also take on more responsibilities in the academy side because we have like a academy academy cohort where we also teach people that are interested in wanting to learn how to run ads, how to create ads. And I also tried to sign up, and I also challenged myself to be one of the speakers and teach on the contents. And I felt like just by really trying to visualize myself as being a speaker, being a confident speaker, and not really feeling that, and try to convert that nervous energy into saying that I'm excited, that is that really helped me throughout, I would say, this journey. That really helped me throughout this journey. And another event that I felt like it really made me, it kind of solidified my view on visualization and manifestation as something that's really important to achieving goals, is that this year I finally break out of my comfort zone and did a marathon. Not only one marathon, I did two marathons. And it's like one was like a vertical marathon, so like you're going up, climbing the tower bridge. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 118 floors, 2,800-ish steps, something like that. And it's the world's second tallest building, Merdeka 118. And the next one was doing a half marathon. And I would say, if you told me 1 year ago that I will be doing any of these challenges, I would say that you're absolutely crazy. But I felt like the reason why I went on with it was because in the back of my head, I still remembered that New Year's resolution that I've set to myself, that I wanted to try something that scares me, something that is out of my comfort zone, out of pocket as well. Because if people that know me, they know that I hate cardio. I don't do cardio at all. And my legs aren't really trained. Like even when I go to the gym, I always do upper body. So yeah, I'm that typical I wouldn't say a nacho guy, but yeah, my legs are like chicken legs. But then I felt like since other aspects of my life, I would say it's like a bit hard to feel challenged at the moment. So I felt like why not just challenge myself in terms of staying healthy, staying fit, and doing like a physical fitness challenge that is taxing for me, because I feel like since I'm so young, you know, like I still have that capability to do this kind of more extreme fitness stuff. So why not go ahead? And I I wouldn't say these two marathons is signed up. And actually, these two marathons, I didn't sign them up simultaneously. I first signed the first one, which was the vertical marathon, that was Merdeka 118, mainly because I felt like that marathon was quite interesting. Because from my perspective at the time was that usual marathons are boring, because like you just run and then you reach the goal, and then like there's no reward. It feels just that there's just a finish line, and it felt like boring, and it felt boring. But then for this Merdeka 118, it was kind of marketed as, wow, you can go up to the world's second largest, tallest building, and you can see the scenery of Malaysia, of KL. Like no one has seen this scenery before. You will be the first one. And for me, as because I'm I'm kind of a very because for me, I'm kind of obsessed with looking at skyscrapers and like being on top and looking at the whole view of the city. Yeah, like ever since I've went to Bangkok, Sky Manahakon, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but there's this skyscraper in Thailand where it's like open air. It was so beautiful. I felt like after that I was totally mesmerized by like how a city can be so pretty, like how the world can be so pretty in general. So when I found out that there was this skyscraper that you could see the view of my own home country, I was like, heck yeah, I definitely wanted to go. So yeah, it was a no-brainer that I felt like that was the main motivation for me was actually not to see how my physical capabilities are, but more of like I just wanted to see that scenery. So even when climbing up the marathon, I was like preparing like my gear, like my DJI Pocket 3 here, and like I was like preparing all these gear, my Insta360, my action cam, and all this kind of stuff just to take that view. But interestingly, throughout that journey, as I started to climb, and I felt that like these things that I felt is impossible before, that it's crazy that you will want to climb up 118 floors, but once you're doing it and you really have that you're like visualizing when you get to the top and you can see that nice view, like it really boosts your motivation, it boosts your ability to break through your limits and really go for it. And I would say after that marathon I also noticed that, not to brag, but I feel like my physical capabilities maybe weren't as weak as I thought it was. And it really boosted my confidence to want to go for more. Because even though yes, it is hard at times, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. Like back then before this, I would just have this mental mindset, like I would have this cage that's locking my brain from ever thinking that it's possible to do these kind of crazy challenges. But I feel like ever since then, ever since I went up that building and really breaking through and finding out that actually my potential could be higher, I felt like yeah, it's a very nice thing. It's a very nice feeling, and it really motivates you to strive more, to do more, and to constantly improve. And so after that marathon came the second one, which was a half marathon. And yeah, I would say initially when I wrote my New Year's resolutions, I did write I wanted to go for a marathon. But at the time in the back of my head, I thought that I wrote a full marathon, which after that I felt like seeing how hard is a full marathon, like really assessing the the safety and like whether if the risk is is necessary for me to really try this challenge. I felt like maybe I'll start first with a half marathon because I really saw like instances and incidents where people tried a full marathon straight out from going zero to a full marathon and they really collapsed. And I would say I wouldn't want to push my body to that limit yet. So yeah. So in the back of my head, I thought, okay, I'm already cutting down my goals. I'm already making it somewhat easier, so I shouldn't back down. And that was that was something that I feel like it's very cool to see, that it really helped me push myself to it really helped to push me to really want to go for it. But of course it didn't it of course it wasn't just immediately, of course it wasn't a me and what I'm talking about. But of course it wasn't a immediate yes, I'm going it, then I'm going to the 21K. Then I was like, yeah, hell yeah. It wasn't that easy. Like the mental climb was when I first started a 5 kilometer run. And I felt like one of the stupid thing was I started very late. Like the half marathon was at November, and I only started seriously training at September. And I wouldn't even call it seriously training because I was really taking like my sweet time. Like I would first start out with a 5 kilometer run, and I was super duper tired the first time round because basically going from zero running experience to 5 km run, it was quite tiring. And at that time, I was super duper worried. And I still remember I asked my girlfriend, yo, should I just cancel this whole half marathon thing? Because even 5 km, I was struggling. But then after that 5 km, then I started to do another five on the treadmill. And then, yeah, after that, I also started to do 10 kilometers, then 15 kilometers right before the race, a week before the race. I felt like as as the difficulty went up, like as I tried to challenge myself higher from 5 to 10 to 15, my confidence got higher. And towards the nearing towards the marathon, I would say I was fairly confident that I could make it. Yeah, and I would say I would say and yeah, quoting back to another Hermosi, Alex Hermosi, like I really love both of their content, which is mainly the inspiration why I'm also starting this podcast. But yeah, for his quote where he said, if you feel unconfident, it's just because you don't have the results to back it. And once I started to have the results to back it, when I could finish a 5K, a 10K, and a 15K with somewhat ease, and I don't really feel like I really hurt myself, then the confidence really came when it was the 21 kilometer run, the official run. I felt that it was possible. Like I wouldn't be thinking in the back of my head that nah, uh I would just go for like participation points or whatever. Like I was really wanting to strive for that medal. And yeah, it was a very cool experience. Definitely would go for a marathon in 2026, and of course try to beat my personal record. It's not a good record, I would say, by any means. It was over 3 hours. Yeah, but we'll see for next year. And yeah, I would say one thing throughout this journey of 2025, the really one of the really big, I would say one of the biggest lessons is truly this: visualization and manifestation is your superpower. Like not all of it was like rainbows and sunshines. During the half marathon, I also struggled. Like at the last hurdle, when there was at the 19 or 20 kilometer mark, my headphones died. It was raining. My both legs were cramping like hell. And I really felt like I couldn't continue. And that was when it really challenged my mental. And I would say at that time, my mental wasn't really that good. Like my mentality wasn't as strong, but it's normal, to be honest, because this was like my first half marathon, and I'm losing the stuff that gives me motivation. So I would say I cut myself a bit of slack, but yeah, towards the last hurdle, I really struggled. If not, I could have got that 3 hour mark. But it is what it is. And also one thing when and also one thing that I noticed, just to add on, during the half marathon, that actually for some reason, for me personally, like listening to music, especially listening to motivational music, very hype music, it really brings a boost of energy to my legs that I didn't notice that it could even happen. Maybe because before that I wasn't really pushing my body to the limit, but when you're really pushing your body, challenging your physical abilities, and when you have that boost of like a a good song that really gets you hyped, it really does bring energy. And and it was so cool at that moment. The moment I listened to a song, I felt like, yo, I have another burst of energy that I felt before that I didn't even know I had. So yeah, humans are really interesting. Like the human body is really interesting. Like I don't know how we have this ability to even, do these kind of things. Yeah. So I guess this is the biggest lesson that I've learned for 2025. I'll keep the first episode podcast short. I wouldn't know if this is short or not. It's like around the 30-minute mark. Yeah, so first podcast, I felt it was good. Maybe I was rambling a bit towards the middle, but yeah, so if you guys like this podcast, why not comment? If you guys made it to the end of the podcast, why not comment something down below? Just let me know, like your feedback, what is there to improve. I really would like to hear what you have to say. And yep, let's make it to the 21 podcast. All right, see you.